Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got another round of Missing 411 with Mr. Ballen. We stay fly, no lie. You know is. Yeah. Hey, man. Today's topic is, did these men actually drown? Not Sierra. No. Because Sierra didn't. Oh, with the being said, before we get into it, for those who know, you know, man. Hey, man, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want the first part, you got to do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
lock it in with a thumbs up.
But hey, man, let's hop into it, y'all. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it, y'all.
If I told you that a college-age male went out drinking with his buddies and then wound up dead in a river, you might suspect that he got drunk and fell in, accidental drowning. But what if I told you that there were dozens and dozens of these college-age males that are going out drinking with their buddies and then being found dead in rivers, and they're all being labeled accidental drownings, except many of them are found with little to no water in their lungs?
This that situation.
Is this the one in Austin, Texas? Nah.
I think so.
This can't be the... Let's see.
And forensics tell us that they were actually alive for several hours, days, even months after the night out with their friends. One former police detective named David Paulides, who normally researches missing people in parks and forests, has begun researching these strange accidental drownings all over North America in his book called A Sobering Coincidence, as part of his Missing 411 book series. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 cases that have all been covered by David Paulides. But before we get into today's...
Let me just interject real quick. If y'all haven't watched, we did a video of the boy Tyler Oliveria. He did a video speaking on something very similar that's going on in Austin, Texas, where there has been several men, I think had like 1 or 2 women, that has died after having a night out in Austin, Texas, downtown Austin, Texas, and somehow their body has all shown up in the water, right? Mm-hmm. In the river beside near downtown. And they're calling them drownings, but there is suspected to be a serial out there. Mm-hmm. That's what they believe, and that's what they're suspecting. We don't know what's true, we don't know what's false, but that's what's believed to be happening. So,
stories. If you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, then I would encourage you to slightly overcook the like button's popcorn and subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In 2005, Todd Geib was 22 years old. He lived in Michigan. He was an avid outdoorsman. He liked to go deer hunting. He loved to catch trophy fish, and he loved his family. And routinely, after he moved out of the house, he would drive on the weekends the 5 miles north to his parents' house and would spend lots of time with his parents and his extended family. On June 11th, 2005, Todd was visiting his parents at their house. He was there for dinner, and after dinner, he went back to his house. He checked in with his roommate, who was actually his cousin, and then following that, he drove to a local bar to get a few drinks. At about 9:30 that night, he decides to leave the bar and walk to this big orchard where there was this huge annual keg party that he and his friends would go to. He leaves his car at the bar, and he walks to this orchard, and it's perfect weather. All of his friends are there. He's having this great time. He's there all the way until midnight. It was getting late. Todd felt tired, so he told a couple of his friends that he was going to head home. He was going to leave his car at the bar, and he was just going to walk back to his house. The area that this orchard was in was right near his home, and so he knew this area extremely well, and it was only about a mile south to walk to his house. So all of his friends said bye to him. They said he seemed totally normal. They watched him walk south towards his house, and that was the last anybody saw of him. On his walk home, Todd would make 4 phone calls to friends and to family. And the last one he made was at about 12:45 in the morning, and it was to his friends, and he told them that he was in a field and he couldn't breathe. And they kept asking him, like, what are you talking about? And all they heard was very heavy breathing on the phone. They couldn't tell if it was his or if someone else had taken the phone and was now breathing into it. But then the phone cuts out, and they tried calling him back, and there was no answer. They couldn't get in touch with him. The next day, when Todd did not show up at a family get-together, something he never would have missed unless he told them ahead of time, his family knew something was wrong. Plus, they had those strange phone calls the night before. They checked in with his friends. They said, yeah, we haven't heard from him. They went over to his house. He wasn't there. And so that's when they called the police. A massive search is kicked off involving canines and helicopters, and they're not finding anything. 3 weeks after Todd had gone missing, a couple was walking around this lake that was located north of the orchard where Todd was at that big keg party. And the wife looked out into the water and she said she thought she saw something bobbing. She couldn't tell what it was, but it was just this weird object that stood out to her. And she and her partner walked down to the edge of the lake and they looked out. And at first she thought it was a person who was swimming, just kind of bobbing up and down because their body position was such that their shoulders and head were totally out of the water. And so it was a strange sight and they knew that it didn't seem right. So they called the police. Police show up and it turns out that this person was Todd Geib and they were deceased. When searchers found out that it was Todd Geib in the lake, their reaction was, no way. We have witnesses saying he was walking south after he left the keg party. Why is he in a lake way to the north of the keg party? It's in the complete opposite direction. Also, investigators were baffled at his body position because if he was a drowning victim, you would expect him to be face down in the water, as most drowning victims are. But for him to be upright, shoulders out of the water, it doesn't make any sense unless there's ice in the water to kind of prop him up. And there wasn't any ice in the water. His toxicology report showed that in addition to alcohol in his system, he had a very high dose of an antidepressant, something that he wasn't prescribed, and he didn't have any history of mental illness and had never been prescribed any antidepressant in his life. His body was pristine. It did not have any of the hallmarks, the bloating you would expect from being in water for 21 days. In fact, it was concluded that it was impossible for his body to have been in the water for all 21 days that he had been missing. His autopsy showed that he had almost no water in his lungs, even though his death was classified as an accidental drowning. When the news broke that this was an accidental drowning, the family and friends pushed for a closer examination of this case because it wasn't adding up. And so a noted pathologist looked at all of the evidence and determined that at most, Todd had been in the water for maybe 3 days, and he had almost certainly been deceased when he was placed in the water, which is why there wasn't any water in his lungs, and it's potentially why he was in that position that he was in, that upright position. So, as you'll see in all of these cases, why are we calling it an accidental drowning still? And where was Todd from the day he went missing for those 15 to 17 days before he was placed in the water? And what did he mean when he was on the phone the night he went missing and said he was in a field and couldn't breathe? And what was all that breathing in the background? Lots of questions on this one.
What you thinking, Cee? I'll let you go first.
But don't let me go first because I'm still thinking. One, I don't think that it was an accidental drowning. Everything points that it was something else. And that's the thing. That's why I just said something else, because I'm like, foul play, yeah, most definitely. But like, what sort of foul play? Like what? Because like, there's no markings on the body. No, like, like normally you'll see like strangulation or I'm just like naming stuff, or like maybe someone beat someone to,
That's the only thing I was like, was it any kind of, was it laceration marks on it?
Yeah,
like,
or from a knife, or from like things of that nature. Like but there was nothing. So now it makes me think, if it's foul play, what caused his death? Because we know it wasn't a drowning. There was no, like, that's not possible. No water was in his lungs. So what actually caused his death? So, and where was he at? These, like he said, 15 to 17 days, because his body was, in the water possibly for 3 days. Yeah. Not the whole 3 weeks.
Because that wouldn't even be the, because of what people say the direction he was headed in, they're not even thinking to even check that area already.
Right.
And you'll be able to also indicate how long a body been in the water.
And was he running from something for him to call the friends like, I can't breathe?
That's one thing I was about to say is it kind of reminded me of the situation with Lorenz and Wright. That story is very close to home for those who may know about the Lorenz and Wright case, might not. It's kind of messed up though, because with the Lorenz and Wright case, it was because my family know him. Mm-hmm. They know him. They know his wife.
Yeah.
Because somehow I forgot how the connection is, but I'm somewhat like family ties to the wife. Mm-hmm. I can't like tell like exactly how, but I do know there's family ties to his wife, which is actually the mastermind of his death. Because I remember my mom them said they my uncle them took photos with him at some funeral, family funeral, and everybody was, you know what I'm saying. But he had called. He had called, but he had called 911. And listening even to the 911 call, and the dispatcher in that situation was kind of passive with it. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, at least if they could have like responded better to the situation, could have turned out differently. And that end, but hearing the frantic nature and the fact that he called 4 times back to back makes it sound as though something was going on. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, I'm just calling people or I'm just lost. Mm-hmm. It's very much, because if I'm just lost, maybe I'll turn around and go back the way I came. Also, could have been drunk that night. Somebody could have put something in his drink. Mm-hmm. Because he was at the bar. You don't, like, even though, like, you might know someone, you don't know when somebody's mindset changes. Yeah. Like, no matter how much you know someone, how much you, like, people can change in a blink of an eye, and now they are a threat to you. So you can't hold everything slightly. He was with family or he was with friends, and I know his friends, because for him to have some antidepressants in his system, and he had liquor in his system, mm-hmm. still, that shows that how long was it before he actually died? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think he died. I don't think he died surely like that much longer after he went missing. Mm-hmm. Because whatever happened to him, somebody kept his body somewhere else, and then they brung it. Yeah. But for the alcohol and the antidepressants, because he was gone for too long. Mm-hmm. For then to die, and then, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it would have been out the system. Mm-hmm. I feel like he was drugged. Something was done.
Yeah, like you don't know, like did y'all see anyone else leave shortly after him? Was anyone, and you don't know if someone possibly was watching you guys. Like, it's so much stuff. Like, you don't know.
And that's what my head went to. Somebody possibly could have been watching them the whole time.
Yeah, and then like he left by himself. There's like space for opportunity for someone to do something to someone. Maybe he heard something. Maybe he did see someone. Maybe someone was after him, and it caused him to run the opposite.
And he went left walking. Mm-hmm. That automatically give me an opportunity, because you're not getting in a car, you're not getting in something, right. And you're by yourself. Now, there probably would still been room of opportunity for somebody if you just you and somebody else. There's still room for opportunity. That's what I would say. Like, when you're going out having fun, turning up and stuff, go with a group, leave as a group. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? No one moves alone, because that gives anybody too much room to be able to do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. Like, never leave an opportunity for chance for anyone.
And I know, like, in situations, you know, people drinking, and there's probably something that you, like, oh, we do this all the time. This person, they like, know their limits, or they know how to handle themselves, or whatever the case may be. But you just never know. Things always happen.
Also, somebody could have, for him to have an antidepressant in the system, I feel like somebody probably laced his liquor.
Yeah, but true. But my point was that I was trying to make was don't ever like underestimate that. Oh, because he said that the friends were like, oh, he looked fine. He seemed like he was fine, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Like, you can't never say for sure, because y'all have been drinking. Y'all, you know, and he left his car, so he knew he wasn't feeling the best to drive, and he's been drinking, so he's like, he can't drive. So just like, even walking, you know, things happen all the time. We hear about cases like people, you know, intoxicated and they walk off somewhere and then they come up, you know, missing or, you know, found maybe later or worse. So just be safe.
Yeah. But this does scream foul play in some sort. But why they're not investigating it,
As
who
such,
knows?
yeah.
A lot. It could be
And
a
they
small,
get so quick.
could be a small town situation thing where they want to cover some stuff up too.
And I was just gonna say real quick, and I don't know why every time like a body, you know, is found like in the water and stuff, like so quick to like just rule it as an accidental death without like, or accidental drowning without like proper like investigation and stuff like that. Like the family had to push for more for y'all to be like, oh well, dang, water wasn't found in his lungs. Oh, this that, you know what I'm saying? Like. It's just it's sad because so many cases are like this and they just like, oh, it's accidental drowning or whatever case, but it may be more. Something else possibly could have happened, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
On January 25th, 2017, 23-year-old Dakota James was out bar hopping in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with some buddies. At some point, he was tired, and so he decided to walk home. A CCTV camera has a clear shot of Dakota James after he left the bar, walking through a plaza. He's on his phone. No one seems to be following him. He seems like he's okay. He's not stumbling as he makes his way home. The next day, when he didn't show up for work, that was so out of character for him that his work immediately called the police, notified his parents, and this massive search is launched. But unfortunately, nothing turns up. 40 days after he had gone missing, his body was found in the Ohio River 10 miles away from where he had been missing. And the general theory became when he was walking home after that CCTV camera picked him up, he must have stopped by the water to relieve himself, fell in. The water was so cold at the time that he would have gone into shock and then basically been doomed. And then he drifted 10 miles to this location. But there's a couple big issues with that. Number one, in order to get from where he went missing to where he wound up, he would have had to go through this dam. And the dam is this very violent section of water where if a body were to go through there, it would get ripped to pieces. But when they found his body, it was clear he had not gone through a dam. In fact, his body was pristine. It looked like he hadn't been in the water for very long at all, despite 40 days elapsing since he had gone missing. When his toxicology report came back, he had alcohol in his system as well as a high level of GHB, which is a very powerful sedative. And like you'll see in many of these cases, he had no water in his lungs. But this was ruled an accidental drowning. The family was unwilling to accept that as a cause of death, so they went out and hired a world-renowned forensic pathologist named Dr. Wecht to come in and analyze all of the evidence, look at the autopsy report, and try to see if there's anything that was missed. And what Dr. Wecht finds is on Dakota's neck, there were ligature marks, as if rope or some sort of twine had been wrapped around his neck, which was later disputed by the other medical examiner who said that was dried blood, but Dr. Wecht swears there was ligature marks on his neck. Dr. Wecht also concluded that there was absolutely no way, based on decomposition levels, that Dakota was in the water for more than a couple of days. And he believed that he was dead or unconscious when he actually went into the water, which is why there was no water in his lungs. So it begs the question, if we believe Dr. Wecht, where was Dakota from the day he went missing until 37 days later when he apparently went into the water? And again, why are we calling this an accidental drowning when he didn't drown?
Makes no sense.
But you want me to tell you what's so crazy though? A lot of times the best way to get rid of evidence on a body is by throwing it in the water. Mm-hmm. Especially if the body is not found for days.
Yeah.
The water's gonna do its job of
washing away any evidence, any DNA.
But if he got ligature marks around the neck, and I looked up the GHB, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, what is GHB? Then I looked up, it says it's a gamma hydroxybutyrate. Butyrate? I don't know. But it's a depressant drug, which means it slows down messages traveling between the brain and body. Mm-hmm. So also, when they say he was caught on CCTV footage and he was walking, did it say he was leaving? Did he say he was leaving a bar or anything?
Yeah, I think so.
So he had alcohol in his system.
Yeah, he had alcohol in his system.
But for some reason, he was I feel as though possibly may not be on camera because there's not camera footage everywhere. But for one, he was drugged in some type of form or fashion.
I think that someone got a hold of him, and I do think that he probably was held somewhere.
And while being held, drugged.
And while being held, possibly drugged and whatever else. And I think he was put in the water by someone. I don't think that he fell in the water himself. And then as far as the marks on the neck, you want to say, oh, it's dry blood. Okay, well, where's this dry blood coming from? Like that's still like, oh, because he failed and hit his head, but it wouldn't just be around his neck. Like it would be like in his hair, blood would be in his hair because I'm like probably feeling like that. That doesn't make sense. There
would be more blood, but
like,
also
it would be like
if he's in the water this whole time, it won't be just dry.
Like 40 days. He's been missing 40 days. So the second person that the family hired to do, their story makes more sense. Like their investigation and how it just makes more sense to me. But yeah, that's strange. And the fact that y'all ruling it as an accidental drowning is crazy to me. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It does sound like foul play was involved in some sort. Also, I feel like some things are just rules, certain things just because of lack of wanting to solve a certain case. You know what I'm saying? Or having the supply of hands to be able to solve certain cases. So they like, hey, we just... The coroner said drowning. We just gonna roll with drowning, even though we have our suspicions. We just gonna rule it there and keep it moving because case loads are already high. But
it's sad.
It doesn't sound like a drowning. It sounds like he was killed. Unfortunately, that's what it sounds like with the ligature mark, strangulation, some type of way. Could have been a kill. Could have been how he was killed by strangulation. Could have been drilled to. And also, I wonder sometimes with these situations, could we do an R kit on these guys? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We should do an R kit to see if, I'm just saying R because I don't want to say the word.
Yeah.
But we should do those type of kits to see if there was any other type of situation that happened. Because let's not, just because they're a man or a male, doesn't mean that they can't be, that type of thing can be done to them. Because people do kind of pass like, oh, he's a man, he was alert. I'm sure it could be.
And just think of how like many cases are possibly out there that's like that was failed to be done. And so much DNA that was on these, people that y'all just like, oh, well, we're just gonna rule it as this. Like they're like, y'all don't even think to go there. And I just think that's sad because it robs them of justice, family of justice, and like really knowing what happened to your loved one.
Because both these situations could have been, that type of thing could have happened in both of these situations. Because they could have been SA. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's in some type of form or fashion.
Lucas Holman was an incredible athlete, 6'3", incredible at baseball, football, and basketball, which was his primary love. In fact, he was so good in high school that he was recruited to play at a Division I program, the University of Wisconsin. And in fact, he got a scholarship to play there. So he went to the University of Wisconsin. When he wasn't getting much playing time there, he opted to transfer early on in his career to lacrosse, which was a Division III school, but he figured he could get more playing time that way. It was at this time that he realized, you know what, I'm probably not going to play basketball professionally. And so he began orchestrating his life towards a career in finance. And in fact, was telling his family that once he graduated school, he was actually going to get a master's degree in business at the University of Wisconsin. On September 29th, Lucas and his friends are at this huge German festival, drinking a ton of beer, having a great time. At some point in the night, they transition to some of the bars downtown, and they're all having a great time. It's very crowded. But at some point in the night, Lucas disappears. No one knows where he went or who he was with, but Lucas was a big, confident guy. They figured, you know what's the worst that could happen to him? I'm sure he's fine. And so his friends ultimately just go home and don't think much of it. The next day, when no one could get in touch with Lucas, his friends and family called the police and said, you gotta look into this. We don't know where he is. The police went to the strip of bars that they had been bar hopping between, and they asked to see the security footage from the night before. And in a very unfortunate coincidence, all of these bars, their cameras were down. so they weren't able to get a glimpse of where potentially Lucas might have gone. At one point, someone came forward and said that they knew where he was and that they had spent time with him outside of the bar, but it would later turn out that that person was lying and they were actually charged with submitting false information to the police. On the 2nd of October, divers located Lucas's body. He was in 10 feet of water about 20 feet from the edge. When they pulled him out, he didn't have any significant scratches or marks on his body to indicate some sort of altercation. It just looked like he had fallen in the water and drowned, and so his death was quickly ruled an accidental drowning. The initial medical report said that Lucas had fallen in the water and had been there for about 24 hours before he was found. But upon closer examination, it was determined that he had only been in there for maybe 8 to 12 hours. So he's only been in the water for a few hours, meaning there had been at least a few days where he was not in the water and was alive. In the toxicology report, it showed that he had a high level of alcohol in his system, as well as, like Dakota James, a high level of this sedative called GHB. Also, it was noted that his belt buckle had been tightened way tighter than he normally wore it, and some people speculated that it looked as if someone else had tried to dress him, maybe after he was deceased or when he was unconscious. And then perhaps the strangest part of the case is the day after Lucas had gone missing, his roommate, who had been in the room the whole time that Lucas and his friends had been out at Oktoberfest and going to the bars, he'd been home the whole time, he goes to bed and wakes up to an alarm. But it's not his alarm, it's Lucas's alarm. It's his phone going off that's underneath Lucas's bed. Lucas definitely had his phone while he was out, but somehow his phone got under his bed, but Lucas was not there and had never been there in the night unless he managed to sneak into the room without waking up his roommate and place his phone under the bed and then leave again. It didn't make any sense. Police would never subpoena the phone's records to find out where it went that night, so we're left wondering how in the heck it got under his bed if he was never in there. And like all the other accidental drowning cases that we're looking at, where was Lucas from the time he went missing on the 29th of September and then wound up in the water at some point on the 2nd of October? He was alive for those few days and he wasn't in the water. So where was he? Some people say that these accidental drownings and all the others that are going on, these suspicious accidental drownings, are actually the result of a group of serial killers known as the smiley-faced killers, who leave smiley faces around the area where bodies are discovered. That's still very much up for debate. Other people say that there could be something paranormal going on, or this really is just a case of some drunk college kids slipping into the water and drowning. But it's up to you to decide what you think is going on. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think, and I'll get back to all the early commenters. So,
let me ask you. He didn't say the year. He never said the year. He just said he went to college at Wisconsin.
Not on this one. Yeah.
And then once that's the only thing I'm like, can we get a year with this one? But we didn't get a year.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Does it help you determine something?
No, because the thing is, kind of, like I'll say this, in 2005 with ties, technology is not as advanced as it is now. So when the loose situation happened?
Hold on. 06.
Oh yeah, technology ain't that advanced. Could it be tracked? Possibly, but not like it can be tracked now.
Yeah. Now
your phone is your number one tracking device because of location services, and it's following you or even if you got your active like tracker, your step tracker.
Yeah.
It's following every last step you take. So, say for instance, my phone is always tracking my steps. My watch is always tracking my steps, so it's knowing everywhere I go without me actually actively looking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So. That's the reason why so many people, like my first time like really seeing it track was in like the YNW Melly case. And they showing like how it tracked, it was this way, it was that way, and it's like, so unless your phone wasn't on you, like how, you know what I'm saying? So it made that awareness for me. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? But
his case is definitely a little bit more complex for me because the phone thing threw me off. Only because I'm like, how did his phone end up in the...
Did he think he had his phone on him and not actually have his phone on him? That would be something too. Because a lot of times I'll drop my phone. My phone is under the bed. It's '06. Cell phones. Like, I'm trying to remember '06 how popular. Cell phones is popular because you still live and enjoy life without a cell phone in '06.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Or am I feel like you could have.
Okay, well then what about...
He could have dropped his phone, thought he had his phone on him, not...
Okay, well what about, like, not...
Or did his friends see him talking on his phone? Now, that would be different. If I saw you talking on the phone, or I'm like, I think I saw him, that's not a definite to me. I need a definite.
And that's the thing with... Why didn't we, like, go through the phone and make sure... Like, see, when's the last time he talked to someone? Did he make a call?
Oh, like, still flip phones too, right?
But you can still see those.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying. Yeah. Still flip phones, right?
Yeah.
Motorola Razors.
Yeah, stuff or
Blackberry.
Nokias.
You might have Blackberries.
Nokia, stuff like that. Yeah. But like, see, like, when the last time did he make a call? Like, was the phone always in the room? Like, I just don't understand why that wasn't like. Why they didn't, like, you know, go more in depth with that, like actually trying to find like more information. Like that
if I go through his phone and you're right. If I go through his phone and do see that he had a call log, look through his call log, see that if he had also somebody could have deleted those. But I could have subpoenaed his phone records and see if the phones was ever used.
That was the point, and they never did. So I'm just trying to figure out, or was his phone always in the room?
I went to when he said that, I went to the tracking thing. I was like, I wonder what year.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why my mom went there. Yeah. Not the.
But you can still do the pinging. Call log.
But the towers then, it was a limited amount of towers as it is now. So
try. It was a lack of even trying to like really like that's my thing.
I get you.
I don't know if it's laziness or people like they don't care, like incompetence. I don't know. It just blows my mind that they didn't even like try to like do everything possible to like see.
To try to
try to solve his case. Like, it just makes no sense to me. But
I think in every and an art kit.
Because the belt situation.
Obviously his pants was off at some point.
Why?
Why are we not looking into it?
Why is that not like, that's a little, you know,
suspicious? Don't be suspicious. Don't be
And he possibly wasn't even in the water the entire time.
And the sedatives thing. The sedatives being in his system.
All of that. Like,
he was drugged somehow. And stop letting y'all friends wander off by themselves, bro. Can we stop?
And also, please don't assume just because someone is, you know, a bigger person or they like a very outdoors person or they for something like they're on the wrestling team or they play this sport and they pretty strong and they know how to handle themselves. Don't ever think like that, because anything can happen and there's always someone bigger than the next person or more powerful, and especially if you know y'all been drinking. And I understand that everyone is not alert because y'all are drinking, so y'all not even thinking coherently. But
that's true.
And that's the one thing, like going out. I understand everyone wants to have fun, but someone has to be sober when like take turns. Like somebody has to be alert. Yeah. Like when going out and doing stuff. And I know like when going out with my friends, I know they like to drink. So I feel like I gotta be like the mother of the group, because I know they like to turn up, but I'm not that big of a drinker. So just always have someone that's like going to be alert. Like, it has to be done because anything can happen. But yeah. But
RIP to each of the three unfortunate young men that lost their life so young.
So young.
And unfortunately, the case is just being thrown to the wayside. Yeah. And nobody's caring. That's crazy.
That's the sad part. Like, it's already said they lost their lives, but y'all not even trying to like solve the cases for real. Y'all just like, hey, we're gonna stamp this on the paperwork, next case. And it's just, that sucks. But yeah. But
man, as always, y'all know what to do, man. Spam us up in the comment section down below. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions down below for us. But until next time, I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is.
See,
I'll
you
do
threw
it
me
again.
off. What?
I'll do it again. I know you kind of like, huh? I do go by the name.
Go ahead, baby. Do it.
I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is.
Sierra Nicole.
We are?
Sierra Okay, do it again.
I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is.
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and
We
C.
are.
Ain't no time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.